It's Jason Falls with Social Media Explorer, and we are at the slightly diminutive worldwide headquarters of Fark.com, and diminutive in comparison to, say, a Microsoft or a Google campus. And
well, you should have seen where I moved from. Jesus.
And we're here with Drew Curtis, the man, the myth, the legend behind Fark.com. And Drew, I was as I was kind of surfing around the internet last night, I was looking for some, just making sure that I knew what the hell I was talking about, which is a stretch for me. And I came across an article where you were talking about the big dig revolt, and I think you likened it to the management and operation of dig like Soviet Russia. So you saying dig's for communists?
Yeah, pretty much, and hippies, and no, I'm not. But that's how it's kind of set up. It's basically kind of set up for mob rule. I mean, the people who go to dig have been told they have a voice, and for all intents and purposes, they do, and that's not bad. But I just that was more as a juxtaposition as opposed to a criticism, comparing it to Fark, which is more of a benevolent dictatorship. I mean, we have editorial. We basically tell everybody, look, we'll take the submissions and we'll read them, and then we'll pick what goes up. And if we think it's funny, then it'll go. Interestingly, on the dig thing too, when we actually did an experiment in voting in order to see what would happen if we allowed voting on Fark, at least in some way, shape, or form, and it was a complete failure. The stuff that people all voted up was all like, "Oh, poopy pants, blah," the least funny stuff in the world. And it ended up being the case where we set it up so that we could always, if anybody had we could go through the top submissions and maybe remove one or two if we didn't like them. And after having to go 5 or 6 down every single time, I was like, you know what, the hell with this, let's just quit. We left it up for total Farkers though, because the concept was that since they're paying $5 a month to be on the site, that they probably have a vested interest in the site and they care a little bit more to create a quality product, and they do. And in fact, that's the voting tab up on top of Fark. I don't know if you've noticed that or not. And what we'll do is we'll go in there at the end of the day, usually, especially on a Friday, and we'll see what's in there that we missed. And usually what's happened is somebody submitted an article we already put on the main page, but with a much better tagline than what we had. Yeah. And so we've started taking those and putting those to the main page, because usually they're much funnier than what we came up with.
When the whole social news thing kind of came in, and they sort of took the Fark model and tweaked it a little bit and did it a little differently, did you view those, and do you view those now as competition, like the digs and the stumble upons and whatnot? Did you view them then as competition? Do you now, and why or why not?
Yeah, actually, neither then nor now did I view them as competition. There's a couple reasons. One, competition is really kind of a weird thing. I noticed when I ran an ISP back in the day, I ran an ISP in Frankfort, Kentucky, and we formed an alliance with the Louisville ISPs to get together, and it was interesting, sitting around a table, everybody's giving each other the stink eye, oh, what's going on? And in reality, all of us were competing against AOL. AOL owned 75% of the market, and it turned out at the end of the day, Bell South ended up owning 100% of it. It's weird what people get into these mindsets about competition, because in reality, in that particular case, there is competition, because you can only have one internet service provider. Radio station DJs will automatically develop a dislike for whatever reason to their competitors, because, again, you can listen to one radio station. But websites, if you find a new website, you just add it to your favorites list. You don't say, oh, I've only got room for 7, I'm taking Fark off, and I'm going to add dig on there. No, nobody did that. I mean, people are basically reading both of them, if you get right down to it. Some people may have found dig more to their liking because it's more tech, or it's more newsy, but, whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. The upshot, though, is that we're also not doing the same thing as the news aggregators either. Right. We're doing humor, and news aggregators are basically trying to be news. They're trying to do news better than everybody else's, and what we're trying to do is be funny. And we're really a listing of the stuff that isn't news, and it's the first thing you read when you come to Fark. It says it's not news, and so we're kind of doing the opposite of what they're doing. It's kind of a similar format, but a different idea.
We were talking just a minute ago before we got on camera about traffic, and I had looked at some Alexa numbers last night, and they're never real substantive. You never know how to read those. But when you look, just say average Joe consumer or person out there goes on the web and they're looking at traffic. Maybe it's an advertiser, and they look at it and they see Dig has just all this traffic, and StumbleUpon's a little bit below that, and Reddit's a little bit below that. And Fark, while consistent, pretty much according to the Alexa numbers, if that's what you want to go by, pretty nice consistent plateau of a line. Those numbers are misleading.
Yeah, they're kind of relative numbers. Our traffic actually has been going up as our Alexa ranking has actually been kind of dropping off a bit, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One, I mean, Alexa blows ass. That would be the biggest problem, I think. The second reason is because it's also a relative scale. Basically, assuming the measurement actually works, which I disagree with, the page views are actually ranking against the other sites. And what's happening is that social sites are doing things in order to basically generate page views. I mean, for example, you go to Facebook and you add a friend. It says, how do you know this person? Oh, I know him from summer camp. Dang gun. This says, thank you for adding this person. Go back to the main page. Oh, there's somebody else. Well, the average like Farker comes to our page and they click on a couple articles and they leave, which means we're getting like a 1-for-1 on visits for page views, just about, because there really isn't anything else to do. Social sites, however, have got all kinds of fooling around, and Facebook is a great example because, I mean, people blow like hours and hours on that thing. Just going on. And so what's happening is as people are applying these metrics to their site, they are generating more page views as a result. And so, again, giving Alexa the benefit of the doubt, which I don't, saying that they're measuring this accurately. What's happening really is it's not that sites like CNN and other sites which have seen a drop over recent days. Like I remember when weather.com was like a top 10. I don't know where the hell it's at now, but they're not going down in traffic would be my guess. My suspicion is they're probably going up like everybody else. They're just not going up as fast, and that's making a more significant difference on their end.
Are you trying to do anything different to capture them, that community member, to keep them there a little bit longer, other than just kind of scanning the headlines and going off? Is that sort of a motivation, or do you just do what you do and not worry about it?
Well, not really. I mean, one thing we've got going for us is we haven't sold all our advertising inventory out, so we don't really need extra page views. It doesn't do us a damn bit of good. It just costs money at the end of the day. We're not VC run. We're not a going concern as far as, this isn't like a massively seriously for-profit corporation, or we'd be running pop-ups and interstitials and all those things all over the place. It's one of those deals where we're not too concerned about it, especially because the advertising industry seems to be moving away from it. ComScore, for example, is basically moving away from the page view generation model and ranking and moving more towards a time per page ranking. That favors video, and that also favors getting rid of trash page views, which you'll generate a lot of on places like MySpace and Facebook. We've had many conversations with advertisers, which they're pretty disillusioned by the response they get on these sites, because these page views where you're ripping by saying, I know Larry from this, I know Larry from that, I know John from this, 1 or 2 seconds per page view, these ad impressions are not being clicked on at all. They're going by way too fast for people to even remember. And so because the retention isn't even there, ComScore is shifting their metric towards the time per page. Means the longer that it's in front of you, the more likely it is you're going to see it and perceive the advertisement, which is the biggest thing, as opposed to accidentally clicking on the damn thing when you're trying to X out. And that also favors video. I don't remember if I mentioned that or not, because I'm not drunk enough yet, and my brain only works on alcohol. But basically, you take those two things together, and you can kind of see where the market's moving. But advertisers are basically complete fucking morons, and really wouldn't know their head from their asses. In particular, they're not innovators. These guys are basically hired to go out and, okay, I've got X amount of money, I've got to go ahead and sell this out this month, or I'm fired. So they're not being hired to innovate. Nobody told them, go out and find a better way to advertise. They said, go out and buy 1 billion page views. And that's all you got. So until the word comes from the top, until the clients dictate to the middle market managers that this is a bad idea, we don't like the response we're getting, that won't change. But, I mean, the motions are already in play, and you can see it already. I've had a number of advertisers tell me personally that their response on MySpace and Facebook has just been like rock bottom ass worthless. But saying that they get a better deal out of MySpace than Facebook, because at the end of the day, MySpace makes them whole. If they don't like the performance that they get on MySpace, then what will end up happening is that MySpace will throw extra impressions at them. And whether or not this is true, I don't know. I was just told this directly by an advertiser, so I could be completely wrong, but I have a feeling, a reason to believe that that's accurate.